In this video, we're going to show you how to install radiator fans on your Ford Explorer, located right behind the front grille. With the hood open, go ahead and open up the cap for the expansion tank. Set that aside. With the vehicle raised, we're going to use our 19mm wrench and come up underneath the driver's side of that radiator. You're going to locate this white plug or drain plug. We're going to go ahead and turn that counterclockwise. You want to have a catch can or a bucket underneath to go ahead and catch this coolant. At this point here, we have just a small dribble of coolant coming out. It's pretty much safe to go ahead and close this. Now we can close it by hand. We don't need the wrench. Just tighten that down. Just snug it up by hand. Install the expansion tank cap, secure that. We want to go ahead and remove our mass airflow sensor here. Now I'm using a mirror here to show you there's a red lock clip on this here. I'm going to use a pick. You can use your finger if you want, but you want to go ahead and grab that and just kind of pull that out. Let's see if we can get our finger underneath there and pop that out. You can see that that clip has extended out. Now we're going to press in on this little retaining button here, and that'll allow us to go ahead and pull that off. There's that little red lock clip. Our air intake tube is attached to the throttle body using a clamp. We're going to use our flathead screwdriver to loosen this. To the right of this clamp, you're going to locate this vacuum hose right here. Just pull that up and off. And over here to the left side of the air intake tube, we also have another vacuum port right here. There's a little gray clip or spring clip here. You can push on this. You can see it's flexible. Push in on that. We're going to grab this hose and pull this off. Separate it like that. On the corner of the air box right here, we have a little retaining tab for this harness. We're going to use our trim tool. Simply get underneath that and carefully pry up on that and pop that off. And then on the airbox lid, we have the metal spring clips supporting or holding the cover to the base. Simply just pry that off. There's a couple of them. Now we can go ahead and grab this whole unit here. We're going to pull it off of the throttle body. Lift up on this unit, pull it up and off, and set it aside. The lower airbox area here is held in place by two 8mm bolts. Go ahead, loosen and remove these. With those removed, then I'll go ahead and lift up on this. Give it a little wobble, and what we're doing is we're separating the little rubber grommet and the post. I'm going to work this up and out. Above the cooling fan assembly, you're going to locate this big wiring harness that runs across the top. It runs down the driver's side of that cooling fan. You're going to use your trim tool. You want to go ahead and lift up on the little retaining buttons there and pop these off. Now there's a series of these running across the entire top and then down the other side. Across the top of the fan assembly. Just continue this process until the wire harness is completely free and clear of the cooling fan assembly. We have our upper radiator hose running across the front, supported by this little bracket. Just go lift up in that hose. I'm going to use a pocket screwdriver on the passenger side of this upper radiator hose bracket. And about halfway down, there's a hole in the side of it. So what you're going to do is put your screwdriver in there, and you can actually release this here. You're going to pull up on that clamp and put your screwdriver in there. You could probably use a pick as well and push it back. You're going to push this clip towards the fan, and you're going to pop this out, and you're releasing this little tab right here. So when you put put your screwdriver in, you're going to push this and adjust that and pop it out. On the passenger side of this cooling fan, you're going to locate the upper radiator hose clamp. We're going to use some pliers. You want to go ahead and compress the clamp and slide that back. You're going to work that clamp back with that hose if you can. Then go ahead and grab that hose. And just kind of flip that back up and out of the way. With the hose out of the way, you can see a couple of the other retaining tabs here that were just kind of covered from the hose there. On the driver's side of the fan, we're going to locate an 8mm bolt right here. I'm going to go ahead and loosen and remove that. This is one of the bolts here holding the fan in place. There's one on the passenger side. This is going to be located just a few inches lower than the driver's side. And this bolt is located just below the upper radiator hose port. And we switch over to a hand ratchet, 1/4 inch, just for clearance purposes. Okay, go ahead and remove that bolt. Disconnect the fan on the driver's side of the cooling fan assembly. I'm going to reach up just underneath here, push in, and pull that harness off. I'm going to do the same for the passenger side fan. The cooling fan assembly has a couple retainer tabs just resting on top of the radiator. It's one on the passenger side, one over on the driver's side. When we lift this up, we're going to pull it up and then tilt it inward towards the motor and then lift it up. Now as you're lifting this up, you just want to maneuver this around the wiring harnesses, mounting brackets, all that fun stuff. Now on our radiator, on the passenger side, there is a little hook tab down at the lower corner. On the driver's side, it's about halfway up the radiator. These tabs are what is going to retain the position of our cooling fans. So when we drop in our cooling fan assembly, there's a little tab on there that is going to fit inside these little retainers on both sides, and then we'll install the 2 bolts on the top. It's going to take a little bit of effort here to get this down in a position. I'm just going to have to work this around the wiring harness and the hose. Just have some patience when doing this and be cautious. Okay, our fan is in position. On the passenger side, we're going to install our fan bolt. Now you're going to want to go ahead and lift up on that fan just a little bit so that the hole lines up. Going to get that bolt started. We're going to get the bolt started on the driver's side, and then we're going to snug them both down. Go ahead and snug that down gently. Let's go ahead and repeat the same for the passenger side. Once that bottoms out, just give it a little bit more. You're going to go ahead and pop retainers into corresponding clips here. Now this here goes to the lower portion of the fan assembly. So we're going to feed this down. Line that up. You can feel that connector pop into place. So now we have our retainers that run down along the edge here. Install our passenger side fan connector. Install your retaining buttons in. Now we definitely want to pay attention to anything that might come in contact with the fan itself. Check all of your other wiring harnesses, make sure everything is clear. Good, line up your upper radiator hose. Now, in performing a job like this here, you want to make sure that your clamps are in good condition. If they're rusted and they look really thin and fragile, definitely replace them. You don't want to end up stuck on the side of the road with a coolant hose that had blown off and leave you stranded. Ours are a little bit rusty, but they're in good shape overall. Get that hose pushed in all the way. Make sure that clamp is seated. Install your upper radiator hose support. There's this little tang on here that's going to press down and fit inside. So simply lift up the hose, snap that down and in, and then drop that hose into place. Install our lower air box. Put the two nubs into the rubber grommets down below. Push it down. Line up the mounting tabs underneath the grill cover here and install your two bolts. Just going to get both of these bolts started here. Let's go ahead and zip those down. Just snug them down. Once those are snug, we're simply going to go ahead and drop our air filter into the airbox base. Let's go ahead and install our lid now. Now we're going to go ahead and install our airbox lid. On the upper edge right here, there's going to be 3 tabs, and these 3 tabs fit into the airbox base. Once those tabs are in, we can go ahead and lower the rest of this down into position. Line up the air intake tube with the throttle body. Make sure it's seated all the way down as far as it'll go. We'll tighten down the clamp here using our flathead screwdriver. And once you have that tight, just to the right of this clamp, we have our vacuum hose here. I want to go ahead and insert that onto the back. Over to the left of our intake tube, we have this other hose right here. Simply going to line that up, push it on. You're going to feel it snap into place. Install your snap clips here on the airbox lid. There's 2 of them. Once you have these on, I want to go ahead and install our mass airflow sensor connector. Don't forget, once you press this on, you have to press this red lock tab in to position to lock it in. Press that tab in, and then we have the little retainer. This little plastic retainer here will press into the corner of the airbox lid. Now, in order to go ahead and fill up and top off your cooling system, you want to go ahead and open up the expansion tank here. Now, you're going to use the appropriate coolant for this unit here. You're going to fill it up roughly about 1 inch or 2 above the full cold mark. Close this up. Start up the vehicle. You want to go ahead and let that run for about a half hour. Wait for that thermostat to open up inside the engine, and that is going to go ahead and take the coolant from the expansion tank here and fill up where the air pocket used to be. At that point there, open this back up, and top off the fluid as necessary. It might take you a couple times of doing that to go ahead and get this to the proper level. That is pretty much it for filling up your cooling system.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.